wisdom is the best way to deal with the fear. And somehow, what is fear from a Buddhist point of view? There are many different kinds of fears. There are like so many different fears. Fear based on something like, so like such a small thing in our like a mundane day-to-day life. There is a fear of insecurity, a fear of sickness, fear of rejection, fear of speaking in the public, like so many, and fear of kind of walking outside the house, fear of going into the forest, fear of like driving, fear of like so many different. Like if we actually keep on if we keep counting what is fear and how many different types of fear, just like so many, like we cannot even kind of like count. So the root, what is the fear? Is a fear of unknown. That is the what do you call the root of all the fear. So that is why Buddha actually said that wisdom is the main antidote, or how, like learning, if you really want to learn how to deal with the fear, then you have to have wisdom. So somehow, like there in the traditional Buddhist term, we always say that ignorance is the root of all the sufferings, right? Ignorance, marikpa. Like I don't know if that translate the actual meaning of what marikpa in Tibetan translate into English, but somehow ignorance sort of like has a little bit of a what do you call different connotation, right? Because nobody wants to be called ignorant. It's kind of like if somebody call you like you're ignorant, and even like we don't really want to think ourselves, oh, I'm ignorant, and then I have ignorance, and then like it is just kind of like the root of all my suffering. Then somehow it's kind of like a little bit difficult to come to this kind of acceptance to saying that I have ignorance. So I don't know, but somehow in Tibetan word marikpa means not knowing, unknown. Sort of like so it is not knowing, not understanding. So kind of like ignorance. So from a Buddhist point of view, this when in the Buddhist scripture, when they say that ignorance is the root cause of all the sufferings, that's actually the fear. Unknown, fear of unknown. So what is like if simply we put together, how do we deal with this unknown fear that somehow when we know, right? When we know, then just kind of like it brings light into our mind. So somehow when we don't know the truth, when we don't know the fact, when we don't know the reality, when we don't know anything, like who am I and what we are and why we are here, and all these questions that we have. But somehow if we look into ourselves, like just kind of like whether you are a believer or non-believer or Buddhist or non-Buddhist, it's just kind of generally there is a tendency, right? Every one of us has a tendency to know, right? It's just kind of like we all wanted to know, because we're always trying to know this, know that, and then it's just like even like many meaningless, mundane thing that we always go into the smartphone and or the computer or internet or something like we are trying to gather information. We are trying to know something. We are trying to, find out. And then human being actually went so much into trying to know so many things that we are always focused on something to know outside, sort of like. So we spend a lot of time trying to know what is there. So that's why if we look into the human history, how many research has been done to know that what is there in this world, what is there outside of this planet, what is there, like there's the curiosity, right? This curiosity of what is there in the moon, what is there in the Mars, what is there, is there any other beings in the, there's this curiosity and wanting to know. What do you think? Where does this come from? Where does it come from? Actually, it comes from this fear of unknown. There's some kind of like we all are afraid, because if we don't know, then it is just like, oh, this is like we are living in a dark sort of thing, like, so there's like no light. So when our mind, when our self is in a very kind of like a no light, like a dark situation, then our mind is starting to imagine all sorts of things, right? It's just kind of it's starting to imagine sort of like a monster in the closet, and like there's like all these people coming, and then this is like we all create so many, what do you call, unnecessary things to be scared of, to be feared of, and because of that, they just kind of we create so many anxiety in our life. So see, just kind of like the point what I'm saying here is just kind of like to deal with the fear. One thing that I learned from the Buddhist teaching was that wisdom, like the wisdom is the actually way to learn how to deal with the fear. So if we actually keep on going, what fear does to us, and how fear affects in our life, and how fear affects in our spiritual practice, and even like how fear actually, take this, like all these things, I think maybe we really don't have to know, because we already know, right? And that's why we are more interested in, okay, so we have a fear, and I want to actually learn how to deal with it. So that is why the main thing I wanted to say here is from a Buddhist point of view, the wisdom is the way to deal with the fear.